do want to bring in Republican Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison of Texas to pick up on a point that Richard was mentioning, and that is the specter defection. Senator, always good to have you.
Thank you, Neil.
I was surprised to hear, I guess I shouldn't because he has gone on record as being very concerned about the president's stimulus and spending measures, but that Senator Specter now, as a Democrat, opposed this budget, Barack Obama's budget. And I'm wondering then if you Republicans overstressed about this and that, you know, this whole filibuster-proof thing and it's the end of the world and we might as well hang it up. Maybe it was overwrought. What do you make of that?
Well, of course, time will tell, Neil, but I think if you look at most filibuster votes or the cloture votes, you'll see that sometimes Republicans will go with the Democrats, and a few Democrats will go with the Republicans. It's not exactly right on the money. So I think that Arlen Specter is an independent, and I think that while he will have the pressures of being in a Democratic primary now, that he is going to have consistency issues as well. And I think that probably the filibuster is not dead. And I think on principles, and I think you saw on the vote on the budget today, if there is one principle that all Republicans can agree on, and former Republicans as well, it is this massive debt is so scary that we are going to constantly, I think, be trying to pull back on that because we do look at the long term. And we do believe that this taxing spending spree is something that will hurt us in the very near future.
But to be fair, Senator, not that you're responsible and all, but your party was certainly no stranger to spending a lot of money. It got you in the pickle. Many say Republicans got it in losing Congress and then the presidency, right?
Neil, I really reject that. The spending that was increased, we had a balanced budget before 9/11. The spending increases that happened in the years thereafter were to build up for the war on terror and to fight the war on terror. And then there was the Katrina, which cost more than the cleanup of New York City. So you had the cleanup of New York City with the economic downturn because of 9/11, and then you have the war in Iraq and Katrina, and that's where the deficits were coming. But we were very careful not to go overboard, and we would argue about spending millions. Now people don't even think about millions as spending around here. It's billions. And I think we've got to come back to reality. The American people are tightening their belts. They don't want government handouts.
Then
they
what do you
want
make,
to be able
Senator,
to keep their jobs.
Good point, ma'am. But what do you make of the popularity of the president then? That could be relatively new president. They're always popular. But they like the guy. They like the direction the country's headed in. They're more optimistic than ever longer term that things are going to get better. That must be a stamp of approval on the very things you don't flip over.
Well, I think that President Obama has a wonderful way about him. He has a wonderful communication skill. But the things that he said, even tonight, are belied by the facts in some respects. For instance, the partisanship. The partisanship here in this first 100 days is much stronger than anything I've ever seen. Now, granted, I'm in the minority now and not the majority, so maybe I feel it more. But to have an omnibus appropriations bill of $500 billion go through without one Republican amendment being added. The stimulus package, not one Republican amendment added. I mean, that's not partisanship. I mean, you can say, well, okay, we won the election, which we have been told here on several occasions.
Once or
we
twice.
Won the election.
Once, right?
The elections have consequences, and that's true, but not one Republican amendment on either of those bills?
Well, let me ask you about this then, Senator. If indeed you're looking at this proverbial filibuster-proof Democratic majority, and you're kind of handicapped how to either offer amendments, or offer Republican alternatives, then this is very akin to what Jimmy Carter enjoyed coming into office, right? He, too, enjoyed a filibuster-proof majority, and we know what happened. Is that what quietly some Republicans are hoping to see?
Well, I think all we really have is the ability to talk and try to show the American people what's happening and what the consequences are. And I think then you try to win elections to bring that back off the precipice, which is where we think we are. So we can talk and we can obstruct from bad things. We can offer alternatives that we think are better. And if the Democrats start seeing that some of our ideas are resonating, and I think the spend too much, tax too much, borrow too much is beginning to resonate. That's why you saw Democrats vote against this budget. Then I think maybe they will start taking some of our ideas. If they don't take any of our ideas on health care, and if they tax the oil and gas industry, the only energy source that we have that is reliable right now to try to make us energy independent, I think there will be a backlash with the people. Elections do have consequences, and there's an election in 2010.
There is indeed. Ma'am, finally, you've been very patient here. On this flu, we're told, as the president was speaking tonight, that the executive director from the World Health Organization, I was seeing this on the wires, was essentially saying the world isn't doing enough in terms of providing enough doses of available vaccines, and the companies that make them aren't doing enough because they apparently, and I'm paraphrasing here, Senator, don't appreciate the magnitude of what's happening here. If she is right, this is going to be a very costly cure, and the money's out in Washington. What do you do?
Well, I, for one, believe that we should be taking stronger steps to stop the influx from the places where we know this is. From Mexico, for instance, I think we should be testing people more carefully before they get on airplanes to come from Mexico to our country, at least on an interim basis. And certainly the cross-border traffic on the southwest border with America and Mexico, I think we should be taking temperatures like they're doing in some airports in our country. I went to a hearing yesterday. I talked to the head of the CDC, Center for Disease Control, and others, and they say, well, it's really too late, that wouldn't do that much good. You know, I think if we stop one person from coming in that has it, that can infect a whole community, that's a step in the right direction.
But you're not for shutting down the border. I mean, your governor in Texas has indicated he's not for doing that just yet. Are you agree?
Well, I think we should be doing more at the border to test people before they come in. I do think that, because I think we could catch people and put restrictions around this if, in fact, the World Health Organization is right and this is a level 5 pandemic. I don't think we should be afraid and scared about it. I think we should take the logical steps that are being recommended that the president said tonight. But it seems to me we could do more.
Senator, it's always a pleasure. Thank you for staying with us.
Thank you, Neil.